welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining us, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're breaking down all the big NFL moments this season. So Thanksgiving night football just gave us something special. The Cincinnati Bengals finally got their first ever Thanksgiving win, and they did it in style, crushing the Baltimore Ravens 32-14. But this wasn't just any win. This was Joe Burrow's grand return after missing 9 weeks, and boy did he make a statement. Grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's dive deep into everything that happened on Thursday night in Baltimore. We're talking about Burrow's comeback, some wild defensive plays, and why this game might just be the turning point for Cincinnati's season. The franchise player is back. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or should I say, the quarterback in the pocket. Joe Burrow hadn't played since week 2. That's 74 days on the sideline, folks. Think about that. Over 2 months of watching his team struggle through a 4-game losing streak while he rehabbed. But Thursday night, it was like he never left. Burrow came out firing, and I mean firing. He threw 32 passes in just the first half. That's the most by any quarterback in a single half this entire NFL season. The man was slinging it all over the field, and you could see he was eager to shake off the rust. Now here's the thing, it wasn't perfect right away. In that first half, Burrow was moving the ball well between the 20-yard lines. He was connecting with Jamar Chase, hitting his timing routes, and showing that classic pocket presence we've come to expect. But when they got into the red zone, that's where things got a little shaky. He went 1 for 10 in the red zone during the first half. For a quarterback of Burrow's caliber, that's pretty unusual. The Bengals had to settle for 4 field goals, and thank goodness Evan McPherson was automatic, going 5 for 5 on the night, including a beautiful 52-yarder. But here's where it gets good. The second half? That's when vintage Joe Burrow showed up. Midway through the third quarter, Burrow rolled out under pressure and threw an absolute dart to tight end Tanner Hudson in the end zone. Hudson catches it one-handed, for Burrow's first touchdown since his return. The crowd went wild and you could see the relief and excitement on Burrow's face. Then, just to prove it wasn't a fluke, he came right back on the next drive and lofted a perfect touchdown pass to Andre Iosivas. 68 yards on that drive, and 52 of them came through the air from Burrow's arm. By the end of the night, Burrow finished with 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. More importantly, he showed he's mobile, he's sharp, and he's ready to lead this team down the stretch. For anyone worried about whether he'd be rusty or if the injury would affect his play, those concerns are gone. Points left on the field. Now, let's talk about what could have been, because both teams left a lot of points on the board, especially in that first half. Cincinnati's offense was moving the ball really well. They had 7 drives in the first half, and 4 of them ended up in the red zone. A 5th one got down to the Ravens' 24-yard line. But here's the kicker. They couldn't punch it in. Not once. 4 field goals, 0 touchdowns in the first half. The most painful moment? Early in the first quarter, the Bengals defense forces a Lamar Jackson fumble at the 2-yard line, 2 yards from the end zone. Joseph Osai forces it, Cedric Johnson recovers it, and the offense takes over with a golden opportunity. What happens next? Incompletion. No gain rush. 2 more incompletions. Turnover on downs, 0 points. That's the kind of stuff that can cost you games, especially against a team like Baltimore. Then, right before halftime, another Lamar Jackson fumble sets the Bengals up at the Ravens' 19. Again, prime scoring position. 3 plays, 4 yards, and they settle for another McPherson field goal. That's when you start thinking, man, if this game stays close, those missed opportunities are going to haunt them. But Baltimore wasn't exactly capitalizing either. The Ravens lost 3 fumbles in the first half alone. That's the most fumbles they've lost in a game since 2007, 18 years ago. Lamar Jackson had a rough night taking care of the football, and it cost them big time. There was this crazy sequence in the second quarter. Isaiah Likely catches a pass over the middle and looks like he's about to score, extending the Ravens' lead to 14-6. But Jordan Battle and Jalen Davis meet him at the goal line and just punch that ball out through the back of the end zone. Touchback. No points. Possession goes to Cincinnati. 11 plays later, the Bengals take the lead on a field goal. Then, on the very next Ravens drive, Lamar Jackson connects with Zay Flowers for what looks like a 36-yard touchdown. Flags fly. Offensive pass interference on Flowers. Touchdown wiped off the board. Game stays 9-7. By halftime, the Bengals were only up 12-7. But it honestly could have been a completely different game. If either team had been more efficient in the red zone, we're looking at a totally different score. Cincinnati's defense did what it needed to do. Let's give some love to the Bengals defense because, man, they came up clutch when it mattered most. Sure, Derrick Henry busted off a 28-yard touchdown run. And yes, Keaton Mitchell had that 18-yard touchdown where Jalen Davis got absolutely pancaked by a Zay Flowers block. That was rough to watch. And yeah, Henry also had a 44-yard reception where Barrett Carter took a terrible angle that made everyone watching go, yikes. But here's the thing, outside of those big plays, the defense really locked it down. They forced 4 fumbles. 4! That's the most fumbles the Ravens have lost in a game since 2007. Al Golden's young defensive unit showed up and showed out. They kept Derrick Henry mostly in check. If you take out that 28-yard touchdown run, he only had 32 yards on 9 carries. That's 3.5 yards per attempt. For a back of Henry's caliber, that's pretty solid containment. The defense also came through with crucial stops at the goal line, including that likely fumble I mentioned earlier. And in the fourth quarter, with the game still within reach for Baltimore, they picked off Lamar Jackson when the Ravens were threatening to score. The play that basically sealed the game? Jalen Davis forcing a fumble on Zay Flowers with just over 4 minutes left. Davis got absolutely destroyed on that earlier touchdown run, and he came back with a vengeance, punching that ball out and giving Cincinnati possession to run out the clock. That's championship-level mentality right there, getting knocked down and coming back stronger. The Ravens finished with only 123 rushing yards, which is way below their season average. The Bengals' run defense held strong, and that's exactly what you need to do to beat a team like Baltimore. Stop the run, force Lamar to throw, and create turnovers. Mission accomplished. Welcome to Tinsley Town. Here's a storyline that might have flown under the radar but deserves some attention. Undrafted, free agent Mitchell Tinsley getting significant playing time. With T. Higgins out with a concussion and Jermaine Burton being a healthy scratch yet again, which is a whole other conversation we need to have about that draft pick, Zach Taylor needed a third receiver to step up alongside Jamar Chase and whoever else was healthy. Enter Mitchell Tinsley, the undrafted rookie who won a roster spot out of training camp. And you know what? Burrow trusted him. Tinsley was the second most targeted receiver on the field with 9 targets. Now, he only caught 2 of them, so the stat line isn't impressive. But if you were watching the game, you saw something developing. Burrow was throwing to him all over the field, short routes, deep routes, even red zone targets. That level of trust from a quarterback like Burrow means something. It means Tinsley is running the right routes, he's in the right spots, and Burrow believes in him. Sometimes in football, it's not about the immediate results. It's about the process. It's about building chemistry and trust. We saw that Thursday night between Burrow and Tinsley, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that connection continue to grow as the season progresses. This could be a real opportunity for Tinsley to carve out a role in this offense, especially if Higgins continues to deal with injury issues and Burton continues to be, well, whatever situation is going on with him. What this win means for Cincinnati. So, let's talk about the bigger picture here. The Bengals snapped a 4-game losing streak. They're now 3-0 when Joe Burrow starts this season, and they got their first ever Thanksgiving win in franchise history. That's a pretty solid Thursday night. But more importantly, this team looks like it's got life again. With Burrow back under center, this offense has a chance to be dangerous. Jamar Chase is still one of the best receivers in the league. The running game showed flashes. And if the defense can continue to create turnovers like they did against Baltimore, this team could make some noise. The AFC North is still wide open. Baltimore's dealing with injuries and inconsistency. Pittsburgh's playing solid, but not spectacular. Cleveland. Cincinnati is right back in the mix. The schedule ahead isn't easy, but with Burrow healthy and the defense playing with confidence, the Bengals have a real shot at making a playoff push. This win could be the spark that turns their entire season around. All right, football fans, that's the breakdown of the Bengals' big Thanksgiving win over the Ravens. Joe Burrow is back, the defense is creating chaos, and Cincinnati is back in business. What did you think of Burrow's return? Was it everything you expected? And what about those missed red zone opportunities? Do you think that'll be a problem going forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you all think. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our NFL coverage. We've got more game breakdowns, player analysis, and hot takes coming your way all season long. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Go Bengals!